We're back live on the Audible Angle. Turns out, after our technical difficulties on our last duck hunting episode, I don't know if anyone could tell, if listeners could tell, we got a little off track, stumbled around a little bit. We only got about 1/8 of our content with Brian from Take'em recorded. I was trying to think of another word that wasn't take. In any case, we brought him back, luckily. I heard you got a little chatter from putting the video out on socials. Is that true and confirmed, Brian? People liked to hear a little bit more about what you're saying when you sent out the Audible Angle. Now, was it mainly about me and your bro, or was it about Take 'em and what you were saying? Or were they like,
No,
who are those hot dudes?
we had some really good feedback, mainly, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I think this is from what you guys were talking about in our last episode that I joined you. The 18 to 24-year-old girls. It's unreal.
True.
Unreal. You guys didn't lie.
Not shocking.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. Yeah, duck hunting is gonna be the new thing for the college co-ed gals and the Instagram models and that stuff. They're gonna be like, we got to get out into a blind. This guy's cooking us breakfast. They're wearing just waders. That's it. Holy smokes! It's gonna be a big social media revolution. We wanted to have you back, and for listeners, I did kind of overcompensate because I dropped an E in the website, when I was speaking the website, so I just plastered it all over the title and everything. Hopefully, nobody went to the wrong website without an E. When I see you got the gear on there, you should highlight the shirt and the hat a little bit too. I think I might have to get a hat. I'll probably this happened once because I got into buying. We're doing a starting with a sidebar, folks. I started wearing fishing shirts because they got the vent in the back. They're nice and airy. And my shades are like fishing shades too. And I was in Fleet Farm, and this guy came up to me and started talking about fishing, and I was kind of like, oh shit, I haven't really been a fisherman since I was 15, so I had to fake it a little bit. But I'm not above getting duck hunting gear before I earn it in the blind. I'll start off with the questions. We'll get right into it. And Brian, jump in anytime with anything. We kind of touched on it a little bit on when I asked about, basically doing guide work. I tried to, make it sound a little funny, but guided hunts and how much land and opportunity you need. Just, I guess, from a perspective of doing guided hunts, and then just overall from a Midwest or a state of Wisconsin viewpoint, is there pressure at all from overhunting, or is that more of kind of a localized thing, or is it ever a statewide pressure on overhunting ducks?
I think so. As far as like guiding and stuff, I don't right now. I would like to eventually. I have to keep with what I'm doing. I enjoy doing what I'm doing, which is working construction. I enjoy doing that. It pays the bills. But eventually I would like to get out and guide. Right now, more of a fun thing, like to take buddies with, or like we said in the earlier podcast, like people who maybe don't have the opportunity, maybe their parents don't hunt, or they're just getting into hunting. Maybe their parents do hunt and they come with, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and that's probably where I'll be at for a while. But eventually, I would really like to get into the whole realm of guiding. I know it opens a whole can of worms and all of that, and that kind of leads into your next question, like guiding in Wisconsin is legal on public waterways. You legally can hunt or guide in a public waterway. There's a lot of guides out on the Bay and Lake Michigan for open water hunting a lot. And I don't know if there is a ton of primarily duck hunting guides, um, puddle duck hunting. Like I don't hear of them. I know there's a couple of guys that I follow or on socials and stuff like that in the southeast, southwest, southeast, southern part of the state. But I don't think that they have it big scale. They have some small scale stuff that they do. Now I know there's other guides that do primarily just dry field hunting for geese. There's quite a few that do that. So overpressure is definitely one of my concerns. So the land that I have, could it withstand day in and day out hunting? It could. I think one of the big things that if I were to ever go into it and do, it would have to be a hard stop every day by 11 or noon to give the birds a rest. Like you'd have to let the birds rest. If you hunted all day long to try to get your clients or people birds, I think you would run the risk or guarantee the risk of overhunting any piece of ground, unless you're on a big water where the birds are traveling 40 miles a day. I don't think you can overhunt that because you can move to find them. I mean, the Bay of Green Bay is huge, but in potholes, I do think that that would be a huge issue, and I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like that's a resource that I don't want to. Hunting is more important to me than making sure I get 60 clients a year, 6 ducks a day. You know what I mean? Like, so that's one thing that kind of weighs on me about if I ever want to become a guide. You know what I mean? Like, I just I don't
Absolutely.
know. I don't know if that's really the direction I want to go.
Brian, one of the reasons that we wanted to bring Dilly and I wanted to bring you back onto the Audible Angle is listening to our viewers. They wanted. We've got a number of diehard duck hunters. Our last episode kind of hit on some of those first beginners. How do you get into it? What do you expect to wear? A lot of our listeners are, I know what to wear, dummy. I know where I'm going, dummy. But I want to talk about some bigger picture stuff. I know that I've got to have the wind a certain way, the sun the certain way, and all that stuff. Great information for most of our viewers, but some of our viewers are diehard hunters, so they've got to. We want to kind of talk a little bit about some of those deeper dive stuff. So, big picture, there's a lot of people doing what you do, what we do in the state of Wisconsin. There's probably just the same amount. There's probably more people in Illinois. I mean, I think everybody in Missouri probably duck hunts. There isn't anybody in Louisiana that doesn't duck hunt. There's a lot of states that duck hunters kind of are. They live and die by those 60 days. Is the duck population affected by those ducks getting shot all the way down, up and down the flyway, and really never given a rest as they go through? Or do you think that hunting is that an issue? Overhunting?
Yeah, honestly, so I'm gonna bring this into the snow goose season, the conservation season. It just opened, I think last week it opened, and it's a conservation season. For those of you that don't know what it is, I'll quick just dive into it. It is a no plugs, no limits, still some rules, but I'm gonna say no rules. Automatic callers, shoot as many as you can for I don't know when the season ends. It started and I don't think it ends until they're gone. Like they move into the breeding grounds up in northern Canada. Um it's been on for I don't want to be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure it's been on for 8 or 9 years for sure, if not longer. And the season keeps going. And this year, everybody that I see on socials and talk to personally, the numbers are really good. The numbers are great. How? How can it be great when you put no limits, people go out there and they pile up. I saw a post tonight. There's from a guy down in Missouri. I seen a post tonight. 13. This group shot 113 birds today. So if the numbers are up and we're taking, that's one guide. There's thousands of guides up and down the flyway that are pounding and pounding and pounding these snow geese. I really don't think hunters take is affecting the population of ducks. I don't believe it is. I think the one thing that is causing the population of the ducks is habitat. 100% habitat. Do these ducks have a place to breed and to nest and to be without predators, right? Like that's huge. Predators, I think, are probably a bigger scare for them than hunters. I mean, we are a predator, but I think that your coyotes, your fox, your raccoons, weasels, everything, those are think about how many thousands of those there are. Like I honestly think that if we can't keep good habitat, we're going to run into problems. Then our bag limits are going to go down. Then we're going to have issues. But I don't think that you, me, and Jim go out and we kill 6 ducks a day for 60 days. I don't think we're even touching it.
Yeah.
Now, when you, sorry, I got a follow up in a layman's, I'm going to represent the layman a little bit here, even though we're digging a little deeper. This unlimited season on some of the birds, is that just down south, or is that is that Wisconsin? Is that the whole way? I know you mentioned Missouri and stuff in the flyway. Is that everywhere does that for a certain part of the year?
No, it's not. It's not everywhere. So I'm pretty sure Arkansas. I could be wrong on saying this, but Arkansas, I know for a fact it's Arkansas, Missouri, South Dakota, North Dakota, all have seasons. Now, I don't know if Nebraska, because those birds have to go through there, right? Like if you follow the map that's above your head there, they have to go. Yep, that one right there. Yeah. So if we if we follow it, there has to be there. So those are the mainstays. We don't see in Wisconsin. We don't see huge numbers of snow geese, and if you've never seen it, it's absolutely insane. It is insane to see tens of thousands of birds on a roost every night. Like it's unreal. It's unreal. And like not to get into avian influenza at all, because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to go that direction, but I think that might be part of the problem. You have tens of thousands of birds roosting in one water hole every single night. I mean, the spread of disease is pretty easy. I mean, you put a million Americans in Super Bowl, somebody's going to get sick. Everybody's going to get sick. One person sneezes, we're all sick, right? It's the same difference. But to answer your question, Tim, yes, there is. It's the flyway. The birds only go their migration. They're on their way back north to the breeding grounds, and it's the states that they fly through is the ones that have the conservation season, because where the numbers are is where they want to try to take the birds out to try to keep the numbers down, but it's not working. And obviously
Yeah, Brian,
their habitat must be good enough because they keep breeding.
Brian, I know that you and I get the luxury of spending a couple of days during duck season hunting with Taylor Finger from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, which does a lot of studying and counting of ducks during the duck season and plethora of knowledge, and he'll be the first to say, habitat is the biggest effect on population numbers. Obviously, there is a reason our bag limits are federally controlled. Most of that is not state controlled. what I want to ask you, Bry, is what are your thoughts and what is your group of people? When I say that your group of people, I mean the diehard duck hunters, those that live. You talked a little bit about it last episode. Is when you live that lifestyle of a duck hunter. What is our responsibility? What is your responsibility of that to help that habitat? I think some of that issues, and I'm going to kind of draw a parallel with our pheasant population here in Wisconsin, some of our grouse populations, that is directly related to lack of habitat, and there's habitat out west. That's why they thrive naturally. They don't. Pheasants don't. Is there a responsibility from being a duck hunter for that habitat, and what can we do?
I would say 100% we as hunters have probably our number one responsibility would be to do something for habitat, whether it be don't disturb the birds in the spring of the year. I mean, you can take pictures of them if you want, but they have cameras now that you can zoom in from miles, right? But you don't need to be going in there. You don't need to be in the marsh in the spring of the year with your four-wheeler and tearing it up, right? You don't need to be. Not that we're not we weren't kids at one time and we wanted to get the truck muddy and we wanted to do this, but we don't need to, right? Put a wood duck box up. Put a wood duck box up. My dad cleaned his wood duck boxes out, and I think he out of his 4 wood duck boxes, I think he was 75% success rate in his wood duck boxes. That's huge right there. So if we could get every farmer in Wisconsin that has a wet hole in the spring to put a wood duck box up, could you imagine? Could you imagine the success rate that we would have? It would be unreal. Now let's talk about um your marshes, right? Like let's talk about what for instance, my marsh, right? So the year that I bought my marsh, I went there in the spring of the year and I looked at it before I purchased it, and I had little ducks everywhere. I went around the property on the levee, and there was little geese running everywhere. There was little ducks everywhere, and that's when I fell in love. Right? I didn't fall in love in the fall of the year, seeing the migration. I fell in love with these little ducks. Oh my goodness! Look at what this property has for reproduction. Like that excited me more than what I see in the fall. Now, that's, I think, where you live and you breathe the waterfall, you don't just take, you have to put, right? Like put and take. It's not I'm not putting them there just to take them, but I'm putting the resources there to be able to take them and to sustain. I've got kids, and I want them to enjoy everything that I'm enjoying for their life. And if we don't work on habitat, and if we don't have organizations like Ducks Unlimited, Delta, and at a small scale the WWA, or if there's a place in Minnesota that has their a state um club that is doing work, right? Like we need all of those working together, not only in Wisconsin, not only in the United States, but Canada. I mean, where do a lot of our birds nest? A lot of birds nest in Canada. And the work that's being done up there is helping us out. It's even helping the Louisiana guys out. I mean, the guys that aren't seeing mallards until this year when it got real cold. Weird. Weird how that works. They weren't all trapped in the flooded cornfields of Missouri.
So, another clarification for me as a layperson. So, when we talked a bit about snow geese, or you talked a bit about snow geese. It sounds like a different story for wood ducks and some other species. So, I guess maybe I'm confused a little bit, but so snow geese, huge populations, big flyway. How is some of the other duck species populations and that benefit from some of that natural, converse con what am I was going to say conversation conservation just of your land. You don't have to necessarily work at it. You mentioned just kind of staying out of certain areas. What are some of the species that benefit the most from that? You mentioned wood duck. Are there other duck species that really prosper when you give them their space?
Yeah, absolutely. I would bet that a lot of your puddle ducks, so whether it be pintail, gadwall, widgeon, um, teal, a lot of those birds, and mallards, of course. My property in the south, I hatch a lot of mallards in there. But they're kind of all grouped together, Jim. To answer your question, they're all kind of grouped together, and and it's kind of cool when you see spring of the year is probably the coolest time of the year, just because their plumage is the best you've ever seen it. We're in Wisconsin. We're at the top of the flyway, right? So in the fall of the year, we see a lot of drab, maybe even sometimes tough to differentiate for your not so tenured duck hunters to know what a drake and a hen mallard, what the difference is when they're in there, like their drab colors, right? Their pre-plumage. So it in the spring of the year, that is the time. If you want to take a picture, that's the time to take a picture. I wish we could get a season. I'd pay hundreds of dollars to take one bird in the spring of the year just to put on the wall, because they're that beautiful, right? So to answer your question, I guess without rambling on, is a lot more ducks than probably I know of reproduce in the state of Wisconsin. And I know for a fact that I always go down south and I hunt with a guide down in Missouri, and they had quite a few birds that never left. They stayed there. They had their young right in Missouri. Now think about that. That's kind of crazy. Missouri is Missouri is the destination of a lot of these birds, because the winters, besides this winter when we had that huge cold blast that went down there right at the end of their season, it never really gets that cold there. It might freeze, you might have sheet ice, but a lot of those birds, they don't have to go any further. Like, they have water, they have food, and I'm not talking just flooded corn. I'm talking in the huge refuges that they have there. They have most moist soil plants that I would say 99% of the birds are feeding on. Do they go to the flooded cornfields that these outfitters have? Absolutely, they do. But I don't know if they're going there to eat as much as they are going there for safety. Because if you think about it, I mean, where can you go in an open body of water that no, nothing can get you? You're buried in this cornfield. But um, habitat is huge up and down the flyway. Not just Wisconsin, not just Missouri, not just Illinois, not just Minnesota. It's huge. Like, it is very important. And to not, I mean, everybody talks about the Dakotas, right? The Dakotas. How is the prairie pothole region doing this year? How was the water? How was the duck hatch this year? I think that is one of the biggest things that we need to be concerned about going forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, Bry, the prairie pothole areas, and I remember not too long ago, maybe even a couple of years ago, it was a super dry spring, went into summer, and everybody was worried. And I think there's a lot of the puddle duck species that you're talking about. They kind of fly together, right? They do winter in different spots. I know there's different birds, like the cans kind of go out to California. Some of the redheads are down in Texas. Some of the teal, they might skip right over some years in Missouri and go right down into that Louisiana area. Those type of things. There's different species that go different places. The key, like you talked about, was that a lot of birds do hatch here. We see a lot of them on your southern property. We see a lot of those. We see some hatches on Dad's property. We see some on your property in the northern area, and they even go further north into Canada to do that. The one difference, Dilly, that I want to hit on is The snow geese don't really have to deal with those differences in seasons, because right now there's still snow on the ground in those places as they're coming. Brian's going to be going down in March, and there's going to be snow potentially on that. So it really doesn't matter the weather or how much water there is, or maybe there's too much water. There's been years that there's just too much water, not enough grass for those birds to hatch and nest. So the habitat is a huge determinator on that. I do want to talk, you had touched base real briefly, Bri. I want you to dig a little deeper on some of these flooded egg field hunts, some of the trepidation that there is from hunters that are in the farthest south regions. You and I take advantage of that, southern Missouri. SEMO is a great outfitter. Shane and the guys down there do a great job. Shout out to those guys. I know they're a listener of our podcast, Dilly. But certainly is there some trepidation about hunting in flooded egg fields. Is that something that you think should be concerning? We obviously take advantage of it, Bri. Is it something that should be outlawed? I don't think it borders on baiting, do you?
No, there's definite in the rule book, in the federal rule book, baiting is baiting. If you manipulate a egg field and you hunt over manipulated egg field, you're baiting. Meaning, if you take a four-wheeler and you run over all your crops and there's corn floating everywhere in the water, you're baiting. If you leave, now these are farmers, right? These are farmers by trade, hunters by trade, right? So if you decide to leave 300 bushel on your field for the ducks, and you're able to make a profit out of having hunters come there to harvest birds, great. Why are we not doing it up and down the flyway everywhere? They're going to migrate. These birds are going to migrate. Is every bird going to migrate? No, that's the issue. And if you look at the long-term numbers, the mallard kill in the states south of Missouri are way less than what Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Dakotas. They never killed as many birds as what we killed up in the upper states. To change, to try to change what has been going on for decades is absurd, because they're not getting a certain species of bird. I'm just going to put it into example. 3 years ago, I was literally covered up in black ducks. I had black ducks. Every single time we went out, we saw black ducks. Every single time. This year, I didn't see a single black. And I'm not barking at Minnesota or Canada for whatever they're doing up there because I didn't see any black ducks. I think migration is migration, right? We can try to manipulate the migration, but the migration's going to do what the migration does. If it gets super cold and Missouri and Arkansas freeze, their rice fields or their cornfields freeze right down to the soil, Louisiana's going to get birds. Louisiana is going to get birds. Have we gotten those cold weathers? Yeah, we did. We did this year. And I saw a plethora of pictures from the Louisiana guys getting a ton of mallards. Do the Louisiana guys get a lot of birds? Yeah, they get a good number of birds, and they kill a good number of birds. Do the research and see the amount of birds that are killed in Louisiana. They get a lot of birds. It's just species, right? Like, so I think what the argument is certain birds may like certain foods more than others, right? So are the mallards attracted to corn? Yeah, they're attracted to corn. We're duck hunters. That's what we did. Would I be okay with moist soils in all of my stuff? Absolutely, 100%. Because then I'm not picking on one species. Every species likes moist soil, seeds, and smart weed to everything. You know what I mean? So I think it's duck hunters are never happy, right? They're just not. Like, they're gonna complain about something. Like, hey, you took our 60-day season down to 59. Well, what the heck? I'm getting screwed out of one day. So I think the true duck hunters in the southern states, I honestly think they're good with what they have, right? Like, you have to be okay with what you get. Are you going to kill a limit of birds every single time you go out? Probably not going to happen, right? That's why they call it hunting, not taking.
So, Ruby, question for you on a question about your question, because you kind of left it open ended there. Yeah, explain the concern a little bit more as to why that question comes up. Is it guys in the South are against egg manipulation or manipulation of egg land because they're like, yeah, all the birds stop up there because they don't need to fly any further for food, and is that like the rivalry or the problem, or outline the problem a little bit more or the issue?
Coming back to me, Dilly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's an argument. I think there's some states that have and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong here. Don't be shy with this. So you can tell me I'm wrong. It will be maybe the second time on all the episodes I've been wrong. So, but I believe that there's different tactics that are being used, and there's probably different landscape that can be used for those tactics, right? So that the people in that Missouri area, some of the northern Arkansas territory, Kansas, Nebraska, those southern Illinois, those areas have more ability to grow crops year round, which then gives you the ability to leave crops up. That then gives you the ability to then hunt over them. The way that Missouri does it is because their land is wet and moist, as Brian had stated, is they actually have irrigation that they fill and flood their fields. So it's flooded egg fields that are there. Some of that can't happen south of Arkansas, into some of those areas, and then you get in other warmer temperatures. They don't have as much ability or growing seasons that will allow for that egg. So Missouri is kind of Kansas, Nebraska, a bit of it are kind of in that swing zone of agricultural states that love to kill ducks, and they've found a good way to do it. To Brian's point, this isn't just a 1 or 2 year thing. This has been happening for decades. They've been doing it very successfully, and he's right. At the end of the day, the ducks are going to fly the way the ducks want to fly. Brian, I would tell you, and this is different but the same, we weren't shooting scoters on the bay 15 years ago, 20 years ago when we started duck hunting out on the bay. And now you're going to kill a scoter, which is an ocean duck, probably every time you're out on the Bay of Green Bay. And that flyway has changed. I don't know, Brian, if you want to expand on some of those issues, but it is those southern duck hunters that are screaming about we don't see the species because they're stopping in the flooded egg fields, and it should be outlawed because it's illegal.
That's the part I was looking for. Who's screaming about it? And our consensus is it's out. It's been doing it that way. It's not harmful for the species. What's the problem?
Yeah, exactly. That and you know what? I really don't have any skin in the game. I really don't. You know what I mean? I don't own thousands of acres of egg land that I can do it. So I don't have any skin in the game. I'm just a guy that likes to throw my 2 cents out there, right? Like, I like to throw my 2 cents, stir the pot, right? That's the biggest argument that's been going on this whole season is flooded egg habitat? That's their question. Is it habitat? In my opinion, if a duck is using a piece of ground, it's habitat. It's 100% habitat, right? If a Canadian goose uses a dry field, they need it. That's part of their habitat. They need it. Those geese fly a long ways. Snow geese, they fly a long ways. Do they do some damage? They do a heck of a lot of damage, right? But they need it to survive. That's what they need. So is habitat, what is habitat, right? Like, what is habitat? Habitat is whatever something uses to survive, right? Like, that's their habitat. What's our habitat? My habitat is where I'm living right now, right? My habitat. So do I need these ducks mounted up behind me? No, I don't need them, right? But it's my habitat. This is my habitat. This is what I want. So that's the same thing with a bird. What do they want? They want to eat. That's what they want to do. They want to eat, whether it's moist soil, corn, rice, they're going to eat. Acorns, they're going to eat. That's part of it's part of the habitat. Is it maybe the best habitat? I think the best honestly, my thought of the best habitat is moist soil. And I think that Missouri is doing a hell of a job of their refugees that they have in their state is top notch. They put a lot of money into protecting that habitat, that part of the habitat. And to have these local farmers that are doing what they can do to create habitat for not only the fall flight down, but heck, Shane, he leaves it up for so they can get their bellies filled up and head back north. He's not taking the water off and leaving them starve on the way up. He's letting them clean their field out. It's all yours on the way up. I'm not shooting you. Here you go. Remember where I am next fall.
Yeah, Brian, I think that's a really good point. I think that some of that stuff adjusts. I do like the idea of habitat is where they want to be. I'm going to use an example of your northern property, Bri. I think this was probably 5 years ago. You'll probably know exactly. If we had Dad on here, he'd tell you right to the day. But when you flooded your millet field that you had planted in the triangle blind that year, because the acorns were so good, about a half an acre outside of your property, those birds were coming into that millet field and using it every single morning. We went out there and we would get deluged by 50, 100, 150 wood ducks. In maybe 2 or 3 years after that, how many wood ducks you seeing around there? They're not around, right? Because the habitat that you had wasn't right.
Right. And I honestly think, like, that goes back to the beginning of this conversation when Jim asked me, can you overhunt a piece? Now, I look back at that. We had great shoots. Did we possibly overhunt it? I think that was part of the problem, right? We educated enough birds to know that if they're going to go back to this little half-acre triangle flooded millet field, you're going to get your butt shot. So I'm not going to go back there. So I think that might be part of the problem, right? Like, I think we were so excited by the amount of birds that we had in there that we kind of put our conservation side aside, right? And looking back at that, I've grown a lot since that happened. I think that was 8 years ago. I've grown a lot in 8 years to know that, hey, if they're out there, I might go have a hunt out there, and then I might let them rest for 2 weeks. Then I might go have another hunt out there. And those are going to be 2 really good hunts. And then you know what? Next year, they're going to come back and they're going to do the same thing. But on what you said, if we don't have the acorns, we're not going to have the birds.
I'm going to jump sideways a little bit here. And I think last time we were talking duck hunting, I told a story about a hypothetical guy. Let's call him Rod. Let's call him Rod Dillenburg. Again, just totally hypothetical. Say he finally pulls the trigger. You got him out. They're duck hunting. His son's learning how to duck hunt and doing all this. One thing, if you don't know, like, my brother's like can't do ketchup on burgers and fries. Oh my God, what is sushi? Won't try that in 100 years. How do you like your steak? I'll get a little crazy, medium well. So he was asking me when we were talking about duck hunting in our last episode a little bit. He's like, and then what do you do with the duck if you're not gonna? I know a lot of people love duck. A lot of smart people love cooking duck a lot of different ways. Um, the one thing I brought up was the best beef sticks I've ever had, which was at a Packers tailgate, and I ate 20 to 30 of them before I asked Eric. I was like, what are these? These are the best. And they were duck sticks is what I'm getting to. What are some of the things that people can do with ducks other than that they're not familiar with? I mean, duck at a restaurant is kind of like a fancy meal. You gotta render the meat. You see it on cooking shows on cable television and that stuff. What does a regular guy do with duck, and include a little part about duck sticks, because I do want to hear a little bit about those.
So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you can do with the waterfall. We harvest a good number of birds every year. So for me to
A
eat the
legal
amount,
number. A legal
a
number.
legal number, yes. For my family, what we do is we will eat duck pan fried. We'll eat cut up duck, and we'll make it like tenderloin tips, right? We'll do that. We'll make fajitas. We'll just grill them on the grill. We'll do as much as we can until, like, it's like anything. Well, I'm speaking to you twos, right? Like, so how many cheeseburgers can you eat?
Watch yourself. I think you just called us fat. Come on.
If I had to alternate between 1 day pizza, 1 day cheeseburger, I could go probably 47 years so far and not have a problem, including from 0 to 1 that year as well.
Right. So to get back to your sticks. So what we have a really awesome meat market, I guess you could call it, here 10 minutes from my house. And they make the best bacon, they make the best hot sticks, and they make the best summer sausage. Now, when I say summer sausage, I'm not talking about come in the tube summer sausage. I'm talking like put on your sandwich summer sausage, sliced, really good. So we stock up throughout the season to be able to have lunch meat that lasts us till the next 60-day season. We stock up on the hot sticks and we stock up on the bacon. Bacon covered in homemade maple syrup, which we do right here on the farm as well. Yeah, can't get
Near the
any better.
Sugar Shack.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, there is a lot you can do, and it's not just the killing, right? You'll see if you follow along with any of my social medias, you'll see more of that coming this year. Prior to our hunts and stuff, we're gonna do some video footage of beef, what we do, kind of before the hunt. Let's get ready for the big hunt meals and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it is a big part of us, the food part, as you can see.
Hey, Brian, it isn't you can use our meat processor. They're actually a big sponsor of the Audible Angle,
That's
big
right.
supporter. That's Maplewood Meats.
I
Is
thought it
we
was.
utilize. Brian, I know that you were kind of tiptoeing around that with some of your copyright stuff with Take-Um. You don't want to upset some of your other big sponsors, but here at Audible Angle, Maplewood Meats, they throw a lot of money at us to drop their name now in 6 or 7 episodes. So thanks for the folks over at Maplewood Meats, not to be mistaken by Pelkins Meats, who also is a great processor of wild game, another great sponsor of Audible Angle.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure you're talking about Maplewood Meats, and I'm pretty sure that if they continue sending 14 pounds of meat per week, we'll keep talking about them. I mean, we appreciate it.
Hey Brian, what is the number that we need? You and Dad kind of take care of that Maplewood trip. What is the number of the poundage of duck or slash wild fowl game that we need to bring in? Is it 17 or is it 20 pounds now that we need to bring in?
Yeah, I think they raised it this year. Dad brings it all in, but I think they raised the amount to be able to select more than one, and I think it's like 21 or 22 pounds of dead fowl to be able to get it processed there. I mean, can you bring in 10 pounds? I think you can bring in 10 pounds, but if you want two separate items, now we never get two separate items because we don't, I mean, we would be well over our daily bag limit if we would have that. I mean, but if you kill two times your daily bag limit of geese, I mean, we get honkers up here. They're big, they're huge. So that's pretty easy to make up a good pile of hot sticks.
Now, Irby, you took me through this once when we were talking. You have your daily limit, and then you clean them up, and you can freeze them. What's the rules on that on freezing them? And isn't there a limit on technically how many you can possess?
Yeah, your possession, and Brian, maybe you're best at this. I've been out of the game here for 3 years, but I believe that number is two times your daily bag limit. You can keep in a freezer, and then you have to make sure that everybody that has that limit. So I would label mine, in case the Department of Natural Resources decided to take a look at my freezer, they would be labeled Eric Urban. Certainly, my son would be hunting. He's got a valid license, so he could have twice his daily bag limit. You can certainly, it's pie license. You don't want to make sure you want to make sure you stay beyond that. So we do try to keep that rotation of bringing it to get processed. Now, once it's processed, does not count to your daily bag limit anymore. So that's the portion of that. Once it goes to the processor, then that turns into I guess there's a term that the rule books say, but once it's processed, it's good to go. It's no longer under those federal guidelines, but you do have to have the license number for it.
So yeah, that is kind of back to a beginner angle too. But I was kind of thinking about that. You can go hunt for 2 weekends or something with a couple guys or a couple kids, and have a nice amount to bring into our friends at Maplewood Meats, located right off Highway 29 west of Green Bay.
Which is why Brian and we all eat different foods that are live. You can consume it. You could consume in a family of Brian's with all the young, with Jax being a teenage boy and his two girls in college and Kayla. Brian, I'm sure you can go through a good amount of duck breasts for a dinner at the house, when you're throwing fajitas around like that.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. I'll tell you what, the teal season, if we limit out in teal season and Jax kills his six and I kill six, it doesn't take long for us to eat up the tasty little morsels about this big to feed. Yeah, and then bring a boyfriend over that's 6'4", 200 pounds that loves eating. Like, yeah, it doesn't last
Ooh,
long.
skinny. A pretty skinny dude, 6'4", 200. Ooh.
Brian, I know that we probably have a few more things, but I want to give you a little time to kind of bump up the old Take 'em brand here a little bit. Kind of you briefly talked about a new color. It sounds like these things are hard to keep in stock with some of the outfitters and upfitters that you're using down south. I know this is the off season. You do a number of shows. Is there some things that you want to shout out to the listeners about where you're planning on being for the shows this next fall? Maybe doing something in the summer. I know there's some things I want you to take them. You've given your time very nicely for us the last two nights here. What do you have to say about Take 'em and the brand?
I just the first thing is, I never imagined that we would be where we're at today. Like, literally, where I'm sitting right now is where every one of these pieces get made, right? Like, handmade by us right here, at headquarters, right? This is headquarters. This is my habitat. you know, really fortunate to be able to have the um the people around me to help as well, whether it be the girls coming home for a break and, hey, we just got a big order of 120 straps. Let's get them done. And at the end of that night, we're done with 120 straps and they're out the door. Right. So I'm very fortunate to be able to have a crew here that's willing to help my little great idea. Right. Like, so that's huge. But um, all of my followers. I mean, today I had a guy today that sent me 6 pictures on Instagram. He's like, "Hey, I forgot to send these to you. Use them wherever you want." Now that's awesome, right? Like that's the coolest thing ever. These guys are out there using the product and it's helping them, right? And he wants to share them with me. Right? That tickles me pink. I love it. I absolutely love it. Big projects that we have planned is we're going to do some more social media. We're going to be a little more active in social media this year. We're going to push. We got a little project that we got going on down at the southern property that might be, it'll never be the new headquarters, but it sure is going to be nice, right? A lot of things, going there, and I'm not gonna spill the beans too much because we're gonna capture all of that, um, and push it out to through our social medias, which is going to be pretty cool. I think if you guys follow along, that's going to be pretty cool. If you followed along for 52 minutes so far, that's your little sneak peek, right?
Oh,
And
I have a feeling you might chop some of this up too, and just use the last 3 minutes, and or cut out the
yeah,
parts with me and Irby talking, and then you can use that all too. I'm trying to get the other video over to you. I had to clear out the inbox apparently to send a file that big. Um, and the social media, is it all? Is it like at Take'em Gear on Instagram and at Take'em Gear on uh, whatever else, TikTok? What are you all on? What are the
yep.
actual socials?
So Take 'em Gear is what we are on all 3 socials, meaning Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I do not have YouTube channel at all yet. Kind of YouTube for me is like people want to go there to get information, right? They want to go there to listen to Audible Angle to get information about Take 'em, right? Like that's YouTube. Like my, I, I'm trying to sell a product, right? And I'll tell you, like social media is good and it's bad, right? Like you you walk a fine line. You have to do the right things, say the right things, and be the right person. Well, I'm not trying to hide anything, right? Like I am who I am, and I feel as if I'm doing the right things. May I have upset some of the Southern guys tonight? I might have, but you know what? This is who I am, and at the end of it, it is what it is, right? Like we all as people can have our own opinions on everything, and I think that's what makes up the hunting world.
You're not going to get to the point where you have your dad out there waist deep trying to record you putting out some blinds and talking about it. So it's like a 20-minute YouTube video of you walking around the marsh and your dad, he's got a camera rig and one of your kids is holding the lighting on you, and nobody ever actually hunts anymore. It's just a bunch of videos. That's not in your future.
No, that is definitely in the future, but it's not going to be dad holding the camera.
Oh.
we are gonna
One
we are
one
gonna
last thing.
we are going to record some of our hunts down there this year. We are definitely, I've got a good friend of mine. I call him a good friend. Uh, Chase Baker from the Grit is handling a lot of our social medias now, which is awesome because it takes one thing off of my plate that I can worry about making product and not have to worry about the social media end of what I need to do. I'm not, I mean, I'm big on, yeah, Facebook Marketplace. I mean, I'm all over that thing, but as far as like what content to push, I needed help from somebody who knows the ins and the outs. So that's what I did. So I think things going forward are going to be they're going to look good. Now, when you message me, do you get me? Yes, you get me. Right? You're still going to get me. I'm going to reply to the messages, but the content that's getting pushed out, it's me in the content. It's just somebody else is making it look real good.
I'm trying to get us to a wrap here. I will a little behind the scenes on Audible Angle. When you if you get on X and see our replies on different sporting stories, I think we're gonna start a promotion or a game or something for people to reply on, whether they think it's Herbs or Dilly who is actually replying. I think you can tell when I post something, it's amusing and hilarious, and when Herbs posts something, I almost feel like I got to send him a text sometimes, like, bro, what are you talking about? You didn't even think of the salary cap implications when you wrote that. Last thing I want to get to, at least for me, this is the last thing. I'm going to shut up after this. I see that Take 'em hat on your website here, takeemgear.com. I see that Take 'em hat, and I kind of think a guy could cross-dress with that thing. And don't take this, easy, folks. I'm talking, you could wear it on the golf course, and you take the gimmies. Take them. Take the gimmies. Not when you're doing an official EMGA, tournament round, but in other rounds, take them gimmies. That could be a little sidebar operation. Maybe once you sell out on those, me and Herbs will get a little cut for selling all the golf hats.
Yeah, I mean, hey, thanks for the plug, Dilly.
I don't think that was what he got. I think he was asking for a hat, dummy.
No, I'm going to order one. And I'm going to tell people that it's for duck hunting, but it's also gimmies. I get some gimmies out of that on the golf course.
Appreciate the time, Bri. Nice to see you again.
Thanks for having me on again. I mean, I enjoy it. It's good. I like what you guys are doing. And what was the final score of the Arkansas? Anybody know?
Bama got the victory, 117 to 115. Did you have a rooting interest in that one, or were you just watching close basketball?
Yeah, well, so Wisconsin native Amari Allen. I watched him play last year at Ashwaubenon, and he's making some waves in the college areas. I tell you what, the boy hustles his butt off. I don't know how many rebounds he had tonight, but it was more than one.
Well, we can check that for you. Once we get to 58 minutes, pretty much. What's his last name again?
Amari Allen.
He had 11 boards, 19 points, 11 boards, 2 assists. Got the win for his team. Obvious class of the SEC. Bama's going to rise to the top of that division. We're big SEC guys here. We didn't just record an episode trashing the SEC. We didn't trash Bama, though, because we like Bama, because our guy is there.
Brian, did you remember, potentially you don't, but Amari actually played for the Preble Futures. Amari Allen, that's where he cut his teeth. That's where he first got it, where he had it. He traveled, went down to Kaukauna, had a cup of coffee at West De Pere, went down to IMG, finished his high school career after 6 years or 7 years at Ashwaubenon, as you state, and then found his way at Division I. And tonight they were talking about him being a first-round draft pick next year in the NBA. What a great story that would be. Great for Green Bay.
Another last thing from old JD, if you want to catch Bryan Urben, takeemgear.com, live in person, you might want to check out a Pulaski High School basketball tilt. Pretty good chance he'll be there. You might even catch Herbs there. Tell him the Audible Angle sent you, and he'll buy something from the concession stand. That's a guaranteed fact.
Where do we got, Bri? There's a full slate for the Red Raiders. We got a Thursday, Friday, Saturday slate, or what do we got?
It's Thursday, Friday this week. So Thursday, we're home against Sheboygan North. Sheboygan North, tough team. Friday is a well-represented team from Southwest. So that'll be Friday's game. And then I'd have to look at the schedule. That's if I can get through 1 week, I can get through 1 week. I know we have Sheboygan North again next Thursday because one game got snowed out. So they got them pretty tight together here. And then regional selections is this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, for the boys.
March Madness and WIAA coming up. This is hot, man. We got to get some local knowledge there. Maybe we can bring it back on, and you won't be wearing Take-'em shit. You'll be wearing Pulaski shit.
I might have my Pulaski Red Raiders track from when I was in track.
That's right.
Yeah.
3 track members here. We got 3 track veterans.
State qualifier and still hold the record in the 1600 meter relay at Pulaski High School. If you ever get to
I believe Irby, the older brother, you were in the 4x4 relay, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in the state tournament as well. I had a record, and Brian tells me every flipping time I walk into that gym, don't see your name up there anymore, but his name still stands, which is a farce. I didn't get to run with one of the state's fastest runners. He was just jumping on backs and just waiting for the baton. I had to lead. I had to anchor that squad.
I got my daughter had a jersey day at high school, and I got her all pumped up to get the old. I know is a strong word. I'm pretty sure in this home that I've lived in for however many years, many years, I have a Pulaski Red Raiders jersey or 2 from football, and I have my college jersey as well, and couldn't find anything, so she wore some Packers jersey. But I was hoping maybe next year I'll find some old glory to pass on to the children. She'll probably be like, oh, it says Dillenburg on the back. Yeah, that's lame and not wear it. But all right, guys, let's wrap it up. Herbs. We'll see you both back at different intervals. Hopefully not too long. Soon.
See you, Brian. See you, Dilly.
See you guys.
See you. Stay on, Brian.
Sometimes I lose my cursor and